What's good, y'all? Salsa has returned, and we're going to go ahead and pick back up from where we left off on last video, discussing chapter 86 and 88 about the scourge virus, and now we're going to focus on chapters 89 to 90, which happens after the scourge virus. And always, before we do anything, remember to like and subscribe. I repeat, like and subscribe. Now go ahead and kick your shoes off and let's dive in. All right, let's go ahead and discuss what happened before all of this. So in chapters 86 to 88, Alan wanted to release the virus. Omni-Man wasn't feeling it. Alan beat him up and went to Earth. Oliver came with him and ended up spraying Mark with the scourge virus. So that's where we at right now. Now in chapter 89, we get a deep flashback and we see Art making Invincible's fursuit when Bulletproof shows up. Bulletproof casually introduces himself and he says he was recommended by one of the Guardians to come get a suit. Art assumes it was Black Samson that sent him, but he corrects him and tells him it was Green Ghost. And brushing Art's ignorance aside, he just asks for a suit that he's currently making, but Art tells him that it's already spoken for. So instead, he chooses the first suit that was offered to Invincible. Now, he questions what the disc on the suit are for, but Art tells him it's for storing energy, and if his powers doesn't work like that, then it's just for looking cool. So, Bulletproof says he ain't tripping and decides to make it work and flies away looking too smooth. Jumping back to the present moment, we see all the Guardians in the Viltrumite spaceship on the dark side of the moon. And as expected, everybody is hella worried and waiting to hear about Mark's condition. But from there, we get the first encounter between Cecil and Thragg. Thragg asks Cecil if he runs the show, but Cecil denies that assumption and tells him that he's only here to protect Earth. He then asks Thragg how long has he been here since he couldn't detect the ship, and Thragg lets him know about his agreement with the Graysons, with Cecil questioning him, asking Thragg if he thinks he'll allow all of that. While Mark gets treated, Thragg politely lets him know that he has no choice and he will indeed allow it, and that there's nothing that he can do, and he couldn't detect his presence because their technology is weak and lame. He also lets him know that he must honor Mark's agreement and that they will coexist in peace, just to not draw attention from the coalition before they die and the people of Earth too. And he also lets him know that they are more equipped to deal with the scourge virus than they are, basically telling him to leave them alone. Furthermore, he ensures that they are Mark's best chance for survival and that they'll do everything they can to make sure that he does, to show that they're better than a coalition and also not to make enemies on Earth, and Cecil also agrees. He goes on to explain that Mark's condition will get worse before it gets better because they're dealing with a strand that they don't know nothing about and leaving his survival uncertain, and Cecil just asks them to do the best that they can. The story then moves forward to Dinosaurus' secret base, and you see it's all messed up and leading to what sounds like a fight. And that fight is Dinosaurus and Alan. Dinosaurus seems to think that they're evenly matched, but Alan reveals that he's just holding back because he doesn't want to kill anybody that Invincible is cool with. And from that statement, Dinosaurus figures that Invincible sent Alan to let him know what's going on and apologizes for overreacting. Alan ain't tripping though, but Dinosaurus admits that Alan's appearance threw him off a little bit, with Alan letting him know that his did also, but they get past that and head to Mark. Back on the moon base, you see Eve stressing over Mark in such bad shape and not being able to hear her. And experiencing this just hurts her even more so, causing her to assume the worst. But the scientist notices this and they have to get back to work and asks that she leave so she's not in the way. Now, shortly after, we catch Eve back in the waiting area, still sobbing over Mark. Meanwhile, Bulletproof old sneaky ass scoots next to Eve for a strong shoulder to lean on. And then you got Monster Girl and Robot still in their aqua slum too, cause she speaks to Rex and he just act like he don't even hear her. He a little sensitive right now. Now, right after that, Alan pop up with Dinosaurus apologizing for assuming he could hold his breath in space, but Dinosaurus ain't feeling it. And then the Guardians show up, ready to square up with Dinosaurus, causing Alan to put two and two together about what's going on. Dinosaurus addresses the situation and explains why he's there, but advises that they do not fight, considering the damage that they may cause, possibly hurt Mark even more in the process, but he assures that he can help. Thragg overhears this and denies Dinosaurus immediately, but old Dinosaurus gets smart and flips the script, letting Thragg know that it might be in his best interest to let him help since it will benefit the both of them. And Thragg agrees. Thragg then tells everyone to leave since they're in the way and lets them know that they can return at any time. Alan doesn't think it's such a good idea though, but Thragg assures them that if he wanted to kill Mark, he would have already done so, and lets them know that he will not ask again. And Alan and everybody else come to their senses and get the hell out of there in order not to piss Thragg off. Right after that, Thragg meets with one of the scientists who reveals that he's found something extraordinary. Thragg thinks that he's found a cure, but the scientist quickly bursts his bubble and reveals that he's found a match to Laura Argyle's DNA, leaving Thragg puzzled and demands that he tell no one, but the scientist agrees out of fear. But that didn't matter because Thragg kills him anyway, leaving blood, guts, and ass everywhere before he apologizes and clarifies that no one can know what's going on. Back over to Eve, you see Bulletproof still trying to shoot his shot on the cool, asking if she'll be okay. Eve believes she'll be fine since she's been through this before with Mark and feels that he'll pull through like he always does. Right then and there, she gets a business text about Invincible Inc., but doesn't want to be bothered because she feels that the business is pretty much done at this point, and Bulletproof offers his assistants to play Invincible while he's out and says that he'll get a low fade and not get too close to the clients just so he doesn't become noticed, reminding himself of how much he really liked that costume. Right after that, we get a cool shot of Bulletproof just flying through the skies in Invincible's costume. And I ain't gonna lie, man, that boy fresh, he looked pretty cool in it. And then, shortly after that, we get a good visual of Dinosaurus working on a cure or working with the scientists or whatever. And then we see Bulletproof still flying through, and as well as Thragg looking at Argall's skull. And then we get a glimpse of Mark still looking like shit. And that's gonna be the end of chapter 89. Okay, that was chapter 89. Chapter 90 opens up with Bulletproof staying true to his word and taking orders from Eve to go do a job for Invincible Inc. She asks Bulletproof where he is, and she tells him that Mark would have been here by now, but Bulletproof replying that he's not Mark, and he's also not used to talking on the phone while flying, but then loses the phone by accident when he notices the size of his opponent. And when he get there, it's old boy, the Walking Dread, being stupid as usual, but luckily Bulletproof don't waste no time, and he gets straight to it. Back on the Viltrumite moon base, we see Dinosaurus that made his way inside Thragg's room, pissing him off in the process. Dinosaurus tells him to calm down and flexes on how he knows his systems well enough to find him and could escape if he possibly needs to. But instead, he asks Thragg if he could have access to the scientist whose work he was studying, but Thragg tells him that he's unavailable. Elsewhere, we see Alan and Oliver leaving the GDA, asking where to head to next. Oliver wants to go back to Telescria since Debbie's there and makes it clear that he has no other connection on Earth besides her. Alan tells him that he's not leaving until he knows that Mark is okay and that he can't leave him in Viltrumite custody, and how he's also not in a rush since he failed his mission. He goes on to question himself about his intentions to release the virus so recklessly, leaving Oliver in question also. Alan explains that they were willing to kill every man, woman, and child, and it would have been pointless because the Viltrumites would have still been out. Oliver seems to think otherwise, which makes Alan question him as to why he doesn't care for anyone on Earth. Oliver makes his point, saying that his people are the Thraxans, and they don't view life as being special, and this kind of catches Alan off guard, but he quickly brushes it aside and asks Oliver if he wants to go see Check Jacket, in which Oliver agrees. Now back at Eve's, we see Sugar still over here stressing when Bulletproof pops up unannounced through her back door and asks if she's okay. Eve tries to keep it strict to business and asks if he put Walking Dead into custody, but Bulletproof replies saying that Cecil has him and gives him his props for being so hard to defeat, in which Eve tells him good job. He proceeds to get close and starts to shoot his shot again, low-key brushing Mark aside and offering to comfort her in a very special way. Eve is thrown off, but Bulletproof continues to make his pass until Eve catches on and tries to play it off like he didn't have any ill intentions, but Eve asks him to leave. Back on the moon base, we see Thragg standing over an unconscious Mark, telling him that he can no longer pass the virus on to others and that he will survive, proving their hard work to be unnecessary. He continues by saying that it's rare for young people to survive the virus, but understands that it's because of his royal bloodline. But since he's been regent for thousands of years, he can't surrender his throne to traitors, even if he has to forfeit his time on Earth. He grabs Mark by the neck in hopes that when he kills him, that they'll think it's from the virus, and they could blame the coalition for doing so, and proceeds with his sinister smile before he's caught red-handed and attacked by Dinosaurus in the process, who breaks his claws trying to scratch him, and while he lays on the ground in pain, Thragg just stands over him, calling him a fool for even trying to stop him. Realizing the condition that he's in, Dinosaurus gets real smooth and starts to explain how he has multiple bombs stored around the ship and how it was very unwise to give him access to their files and how he knows he doesn't want anything to happen to his ship, which pisses Thragg off. Dinosaurus explains how he has a system monitoring his heart rate, and as it increases, the bombs will go off, leaving Thragg in disbelief, but Dinosaurus proves him wrong with a perfectly timed bomb. This grabs Thragg's attention, which makes Dinosaurus question Thragg about why would he even want to kill Invincible in the first place when he was just trying to save his life an hour ago. But Thragg says he asks way too many questions and proceeds to attack Dinosaurus in attempts to stop his heart. He continues to beat the hell out of Dinosaurus, panel after panel, as the bombs continue to go off due to his increased heart rate. Thragg chokes Dinosaurus and tosses him aside, saying that he's had about enough and about to end this when we see Dinosaurus try to sneak Thragg with a bite. And that wasn't too smart because he shatters damn near every tooth trying to do so. Thragg lets him know that that probably wasn't the outcome that he expected to happen, while Dinosaurus continues to run his mouth. And speaking of mouth, Thragg says that he's had enough and grabs Dinosaurus' jaws and splits his face. As more bombs continue to detonate, Thragg stands over that boy and tells him to gather himself since he's bleeding, and finally realizes that stopping his heart will cause more damage, and he leaves. But this gives Dinosaurus the time that he needs, and he grabs Mark to head out and make a nice escape while the Viltrumite ship continues to blow. Now back at the Pentagon, Cecil and Eve are having a conversation with Eve being confused, thinking that she can go see Mark at any time. But Cecil explains that it's not that simple and how they've tried to contact the Viltrumites, but their systems are down. And he also explains how the Guardians have reported unusual seismic activity, which makes Eve demand to be sent up immediately. Now back to Bulletproof old dirty ass, we see him at his apartment rethinking his actions, and his old lady pops up to check on him to see what's the matter. He pretends to be fine, but his girl is looking to make him feel better, if you know what I mean. And I really don't understand Bulletproof, because his old lady kind of fine. She kind of look way better than Eve, man. Like, what you doing, bro? Oh well, but anyway, shortly after that, we see that Dinosaurus has made it back to his secret base, and he's all beat the hell up, man. I'm talking about paws all messed up, mouth all messed up and whatnot. And then you pan over to the next page and you see Mark is actually okay, and he gets up and he notices that Dinosaurus is all beat the hell up. And that's gonna do it for the end of chapter 90. And I'm not gonna lie, I like these last two chapters. It wasn't all that with the action, but it does highlight how much Thragg is a terrible person and how Bulletproof ain't shit either. And I'm not gonna hold y'all, man, until the next time when we read some more of these chapters, you go ahead and give your boy a like and a sub, and I'ma holler at y'all. Saucy is out.